Good evening, everybody. Welcome to TEDx at Jefferson College. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Will Rohman. I'm a 45-year-old culinary major. I'm a 4.0 GPA student. And on top of being the Student Senate President here at Jefferson College, I'm an active member of several clubs on campus. Some consider me somewhat of a minor celebrity here. My 15 minutes of fame came from a show some of you might remember. And if my journey from this show to here has taught me anything at all, it is that everything changes. We can either be the victims of change and let change control our lives, or we can be the agents of change and take control ourselves. As a child, I was raised by an alcoholic father. He was beloved by his friends. He had a huge personality and a giving heart, if you were one of his friends. He was a little different for his 9-year-old son. For his 9-year-old son, he had anger, negativity, and physicality. At 9 years old, he decided to quit his job and open up an illegal bar and casino in our house. This was a rough way for a 9-year-old to live. And I can remember many, many memories of my father in a drunken state. He would be passed out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, mouth wide open, stinking feet up on the coffee table. Or it would be him and his drunken friends deciding it would be fun to ridicule the stupidity of a 9-year-old child for being childish. At 9 years old, I began to run away, a lot. Usually I'd be found by the sheriff either walking up the street or spending the night at a friend's house, only to be taken back to my house, have the sheriff come into that illegal bar and casino, sit down and have coffee with my father, as I ran to my room and locked myself away with my conflict. Most nights I'd cry myself to sleep to the sound of slot machines being pulled and released by drunken idiots having a good time. This is no way for a 9-year-old child to live. When I couldn't run away physically, I ran away mentally with drugs. And on drugs, I became wild and uncontrollable teenager. And the more uncontrollable I became, the more angry and violent my father became. And as he escalated, so did I. Until it culminated as I was a 16-year-old, and I found myself kicked out and living on the streets. At the age of 18, I was in jail for a long list of crimes, including robbing my own father's house. My father died of cirrhosis of the liver while I was in that jail cell. It was 8 long years before I was released from that prison. I was released unrehabilitated. I still blamed the world for my problems, and I didn't think I had any control over my life or my choices. It was 3 months before I got back on drugs, and 6 months before I started doing crime again to pay for them. One day I decided I was going to rob this elderly gentleman, and I got caught. And I realized that if I was convicted, I was going back to prison. And that was something that I just could not face. So I ran. That's what I did best. I was a fugitive for 14 years. But believe it or not, even though I was running away, this was the time that I decided to take control of my life. I fell in love. I kicked my drug habit, and I started to write. This changed my life. I wrote to help other people. I wanted them to know that no matter what they were going through, they were not alone in this world. Somebody had had it just as bad as them or worse, and there was help out there. But there came a time when I realized that my words were never going to be heard because I still had a past that had to be dealt with. One night, I was watching TV. It was a Saturday night. That's when I saw myself on America's Most Wanted. My first instinct was run, run, run. And I did. And I watched as state by state rolled by. But there came a time in Louisiana that I decided it was time to really make a change. I decided it was time to stop running away from my problems and start running at them. So I took that manuscript of my life story and I mailed it to the White House. I mailed it to the President of the United States. And I turned around and I proceeded to go straight to the White House where I surrendered. You know, it's kind of a weird thing. The President of the United States doesn't generally take fugitive surrenders personally. Who knew that? But he does have a great staff of Secret Service that is more than willing to oblige you when you turn yourself in, let me tell you. After they ask you a few questions, of course. So DC decided they were going to send me back to Missouri. It was time for me to face up to my crimes. I came here and I spent a year in St. Louis County Jail, maximum security, as I awaited a trial that would never happen. In 2012, they gave me probation for my crime, and I was released. And I decided that this second chance was the only second chance I was ever going to need again, because I was not only being released from jail, I was being released from a past. The first thing I did upon my release was I went and got my education. I came here to Jefferson College, and I didn't just enroll, I dove in. I took honors courses in leadership development, psychology, and more. As a child, I rejected education, but as an adult, I embrace it, and I excel at it. After 2.5 years, I'm still a 4.0 student, and I graduate this May. In college, I joined several clubs, but it was Active Minds Club that gave me the perfect platform to share my story, and I did. And it seemed the more that I shared my story with the students here, the more that they felt safe to come to me and share their own. And together, we created an atmosphere without judgment and without destruction, that we could share these stories with each other and make change within our own lives. Truth is, I needed them as much as they needed me. Recently, I was awarded the Leader of the Year award by the Missouri Community College Association Student Government. But that's not the culmination of my college career. The truth is, the best award we got was when the student government that I have led for the last year received Student Government of the Year. That validated that I had played a part in the development of future leaders, of younger people. Within me, I have a desire to help other people. Whereas my father, he seemed to want to destroy himself with alcohol, even though he used that alcohol to support his family. I want to create an environment by combining social work and the culinary degree I will receive in May. I want to become the social chef. I want to help others find a place where they can find within themselves what I found in mine, a place where they can change for the better. You know, as I talk about my father, I realize that we have a lot of similarities. I mean, he has a huge personality. Well, so do I, you know. But whereas he used his to destroy himself, I want to use mine to create change, to help others. The road to get here wasn't easy, but I carry with me my lessons learned. It is never too late to learn the lessons of your father. I also carry with me the knowledge that obstacles aren't roadblocks to the changes in the future that we want for ourselves. They are simply exercises to keep us on pace for the journey that is life. We can either be a victim of change, or we can be a master of it. If I can go from being an abused child to being on the dean's list. If I can go from a surrender at the White House to shaking hands inside the State House, if I can go from America's Most Wanted to being Leader of the Year, then I know I have become a master of my own life. I am a master of change. And if I can do it, I know one thing: you can do it too. Thank you.